One night, a woman went out for drinks with her girlfriends. She left the bar fairly late at night, got in her car, and onto the deserted highway. She noticed a lone pair of headlights in her rearview mirror, approaching at a pace just slightly quicker than hers. As the car pulled up behind her, she glanced and saw the turn signal on. The car was going to pass, when suddenly it swerved back behind her, pulled up dangerously close to her tailgate, and the brights flashed. Now she was getting nervous. The lights dimmed for a moment, and then the brights came back on, and the car surged forward. The frightened woman struggled to keep her eyes on the road and fought the urge to look at the car behind her. Finally, her exit approached, but the car continued to follow, flashing the brights periodically. Through every stoplight and turn, it followed her until she pulled into her driveway. She figured her only hope was to make a mad dash into the house and call the police. As she flew from her car, so did the driver of the car behind her. And he screamed, "Lock the door and call the police. Call 911. When the police arrived, the horrible truth was finally revealed to the woman. The man in the car had been trying to save her. As he pulled up behind her, his headlights illuminated her car, and he saw a silhouette of a man with a butcher knife rising up from the back seat to stab her, so he flashed his brights, and the figure crouched back down. My great-great-grandmother, ill for quite some time, finally passed away after lying in a coma for several days. My great-great-grandfather was devastated beyond belief, as she was his one true love, and they had been married for over 50 years. They were married so long it seemed as if they knew each other's innermost thoughts. After the doctor pronounced her dead, my great-great-grandfather insisted she was not. They had to literally pry him away from his wife's body so they could ready her for burial. Now, back in those days, they had backyard burial plots and did not drain the body of its fluids. They simply prepared a proper coffin and committed the body in its coffin to its permanent resting place. Throughout this process, my great-great-grandfather protested so fiercely that he had to be sedated and put to bed. His wife was buried, and that was that. That night he woke to a horrific vision of his wife hysterically trying to scratch her way out of the coffin. He phoned the doctor immediately and begged to have his wife's body exhumed. The doctor refused, but my great-great-grandfather had this nightmare every night for a week, each time frantically begging to have his wife removed from the grave. Finally, the doctor gave in and, together with the local authorities, exhumed the body. The coffin was pried open, and to everyone's horror and amazement, my great-great-grandmother's nails were bent back, and there were bloody scratch marks on the inside of the coffin. A girl named Samantha, one in her teens, was babysitting for a family in Newport Beach, California. The family is wealthy and has a very large house. You know the sort, with a ridiculous amount of rooms. Anyways, the parents are going out for a late dinner and a movie. The father tells the babysitter that once the children are in bed, that she should go into a specific room. He doesn't really want her wandering around his house, and she should watch TV in there. The parents take off, and soon she gets the kids in bed and goes to the room to watch TV. She tries, but is disturbed by a clown statue in the corner of the room. She tries to ignore it for as long as possible, but it starts freaking her out so much she can't handle it. She resorts to calling the father and asks, "Hey, the kids are in bed, but is it okay if I switch rooms? This clown statue is really creeping me out." The father says seriously, "Get the kids. Go next door. Call 911. She responds quickly, "What's going on?" He responds, Just go next door, and once you call the police, call me back. She gets the kids, goes next door, and calls the police. When the police are on the way, she calls the father back and asks, "So really, what's going on?" He responds, "We don't have a clown statue." He further explains that the children have been complaining about a clown watching them as they sleep. He and his wife had just blown it off, assuming that they were having nightmares.